Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to be discussing Dispatch and my final thoughts on this game. A few days ago, I posted my initial thoughts on the first 4 episodes and what I thought they were doing with it, how well I thought it was going, and overall, my opinion of it was pretty positive. That review in progress only encompassed the first half, and after experiencing the second half, I have a lot more that I want to discuss. So, without any further ado, let's get right into it. Without rehashing too much of my first video, I had a really good experience with the first 4 episodes, and I have to say that that experience really carried over into the final 4. The overall story was strong, heartfelt, it was powerful. I really felt that I was connected to these characters and that I understood them, I believed what they were doing, and I felt they were well developed. From the start to the finish, I thought every character was well designed. I thought that their motivations made sense, and I really think that what they did in the world makes sense in the world as it was described and provided. The 8th episode in particular stood out. This was double the length of all the other 7 episodes, which are about an hour. I found that the 8th episode lasted 2 hours and had a lot of emotional payoff and had quite a bit of not only storytelling, but also a large section of the dispatch gameplay. I noticed that in the second half of the game, the dispatch gameplay was actually increasing in difficulty, as I said, especially in that 8th episode. And in that dispatch gameplay, the hacking minigame difficulty also increased. In my original video, I discussed how these hacking minigames were interesting and they were fun, but they were never really challenging. And although I made it through the entire game start to finish without failing any of them, they definitely built on the mechanics and the rules established in the first 4 episodes and made them more complicated and more difficult in the last 4 episodes. This natural build and progression made sense, and I felt like I was learning the game as I was doing it, and I never felt that any of it was unfair. Before I jump into the bad, I really want to emphasize that this was a great experience for me. I thought that the rest of 2025's games were dry and there wasn't anything really good coming out, but stumbling across Dispatch was an absolute blessing and a major win for me, not only just for the price, but also for the experience. I found myself looking forward to the next episode as it was coming out, and although I didn't have to wait long, I was really excited the day it came out so I could sit down and experience what else this story had to provide. And just like in the earlier episodes, the acting, character design, and humor stayed top notch. I read online that the developers are considering doing a season 2 to this, and I really hope that they do because I would love to see more with the world that they created. Unfortunately, transitioning to the bad, I do have a lot more issues with the last 4 episodes or the game as a whole after I've experienced the whole thing. The biggest issue that I have with the last 4 episodes is the increase in glitches and inconsistencies that I experienced. There was a moment when I was playing the game where I had the option to say option square, triangle, or circle, and even though I selected triangle, my character said the dialogue for option circle. I actually exited out of the game, reloaded in, and tried it again because I didn't want it to mess with my gameplay. But even after selecting triangle again, my character still said the dialogue for the circle option. And that led to a weird cut and a weird transition in the otherwise really seamless movie-like cutscenes. And that wasn't the only time that there was a weird glitch or weird cut that would take place after a decision was made. It really felt like as the branching paths based off the decisions you made grew and there were more options or more changes that could occur, the developers may have taken more shortcuts in order to get the game out because there were clear cuts or things that just didn't seem to flow as well as they should have once I made a decision towards the end of the game. Some of these shortcuts are more noticeable than others. For example, at the very end of the game, there's a time where the characters are referring to a woman using they pronouns when it's clearly a woman. And earlier in the game, you had the option to choose whether that person would be a boy or a girl. And it's clear that they only did this so that way they would only have to record one line of dialogue instead of recording a dialogue with him pronouns or a dialogue with her pronouns. Another glitch I experienced was receiving a trophy for completing a dispatch section without failing any missions when I absolutely did fail a mission. And although I'm grateful to have a glitch in my favor, it was clearly a glitch. I had failed, and it was even on my screen saying that I had failed one mission when the trophy had popped. I was just confused to have received it. Now, in fairness, I did play these last 2 episodes the day that they launched, only about an hour or so after that they launched. So these bugs may have been patched by now. Perhaps they've been identified and fixed, but it did happen to me. And I think it's important to recognize that because they released the product. The product was ready to play, and it was something that affected me in an overall great experience. Despite the hiccups and glitches that I experienced in the latter half, my overall opinion of this game hasn't changed very much. Dispatch is still a fantastic experience. The story stays strong from start to finish, and the characters are well written. The structure of blending dispatch management, the minigames, and the choice driven storytelling remains something that is better than most storytelling games that I've played in recent years. Even with the glitches, I had a lot of fun playing this game. I spent about 10 hours in total, and for a $30 price tag, I'd say that's absolutely worth it. I would pay as much as $50 for Dispatch, and I know I said that in my original video. I think it's important to mention that going through the whole experience, that opinion has not changed. The $30 price tag is more than worth it for the experience that I had with a great game. But those are just my thoughts and my experiences. I'd love to hear what your experiences were. Perhaps tell me what your decisions were. Maybe you experienced the same thing. Maybe you had a better experience or a worse experience than me. I look forward to reading what you have to say in the comments and interacting with you. Hope you have a great day, and I'll see you guys in the next one.